Hello, I'm Param Singh. Hope everybody is doing well. In the last video, we designed this function to return the last element of a non-empty list. Now, the recursive part of this function, which is right here, we designed it using conditional logic, specifically with the if-else statement. So here, just to refresh our memory, we say that if there is no element in the tail of the list, that is, the tail is empty, then we return the head, because that by definition becomes the last element of the list. Otherwise, else we continue to look for in the tail. But in this particular case, note that we are able to get a solution without using the if-else logic, and instead we're going to use pattern matching. Now, before we jump to refactoring the code using that, I also want to highlight, just like we have a compact one-liner function definitions, we could also compact this entire if-else block if it is simpler to read. So for that, what we do is we're going to combine the head here and the else clause, and we'll remove the end statement. So we'll have a comma after our if boolean check, and then colon after do. And then when the expression is finished in the do block, we again put comma and a colon after else. So this becomes a one-line if-else statement, and this can be useful if the readability is not compromised. So let's see if our tests are still passing, and indeed they are. So now we will switch to rewriting this function using pattern matching. And the question is it possible to match a pattern where the tail is empty, right? There are two ways to do that, and let's take a look in IEX quickly what those are. If I say head and empty tail, right, and I match it with a one element list, the value of head is bound to 1. And notice that this will not match if it is a 2-element list. It will say it's a match error because the right side is a 2-element list and the left side we are enforcing the structure to only contain one element. Another way to do, which is more simpler and compact, is just to enclose your one variable inside square brackets. So here we are saying there has to be only one element inside a list, and in that case that variable will be bound to the value of 1. Once again, just to verify that if I have 2 elements on the right side, it will produce a match error. So with this knowledge, let's go back to our implementation here, and we're going to say list last, and this is one element list. If there is only one element, then return that element, right? And then we are gonna say in case of more than one element, so that will be head and tail, do, and that's our else block here that we are going to execute. So do list last on tail. All right, so with this logic now we don't need this block, and since we are not using this head variable, we can prepend an underscore to that to let Elixir know that yes, we are not going to use this variable and only tail is used. Run my tests and all the tests pass. So going back to the implementation, so we have now 3 pattern matches. The first one is an empty match and we produce nil. The second match is a 1 element list, and in that case we return head, the only element. And if it is a multi-element list, then we execute the third clause, in which case we simply say we continue to look for the last element.